Text layers offer interesting ways to use source text and manipulate content with expressions. Let's look at how to reference source text in your composition. Here you have a text layer and you want to link the contents of it to another text layer. So first you need to open up the source text property of the launch layer. A little trick I use is to rapidly tap UU on your keyboard, which automatically opens and solos the source text property. Once open, just add a new expression by alt-clicking the stopwatch. Now immediately it's going to give you default syntax here referencing itself, and you can come to the very beginning of it right before text and grab the pick whip tool and then come up to another layer. So here I'm going to use launch status and let go, and then right before you click away, add a period operator to separate the two. So now if you click away from the expression, you'll notice that this layer is pulling the text content from this other layer. Now, what if you wanted to link to another text layer in another composition? To demonstrate this, you can actually just duplicate the composition we're working in. So Command or Control D, and then I'm going to hit Enter and then rename this to Template, and then hit Enter again. And now if I double click this to open it up here, we have the same layers here. I'm going to remove the expression and I'm going to change the content to something like testing, just so we know when it changes. So now we have the template composition. I'm going to highlight the source text property and I'm going to come up to Edit, Copy with Property Links. And this is going to create an absolute link to this composition. And I'm going to come back to 305 text and highlight the source text and Control V or Command V on a Mac to paste. And now it's looking at the template composition and it's actually pulling in the new text that I added on that text layer and it's replacing it as its own. Now there's one thing to note here, formatting does not work with expressions. So if I come over to template and change the text to pure white, it's reflected here, but if I go back to 305 text, it's remained its original color. And that's because the expression is only pulling the text string and it's not actually bringing the formatting with it. So this is one limitation to keep in mind. To manipulate a text layer's contents with dynamic information, you can use a combination of the source text attribute, operators, values, and text strings. So let's combine some static text with a dynamic value in the same text field. So I'm going to hide these two layers, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on the 305B layers. So the first layer here is just a title, and the second layer is a placeholder. Now it says T-, but I think it's actually missing some seconds in order for it to be a launch clock. Now this text layer also has a slider control called countdown, which already has some keyframes, but nothing's actually changing with the text right now. So let's link up the countdown slider with the original text here. So highlight the clock layer, I'm going to hit UU to open up source text. Go ahead and add an expression to the source text property, and then bring your cursor to the very end of the default reference. Now after this reference, you want to add an addition operator, which is a plus, and then a set of double quotes with a single space in them. Now this is going to be an empty buffer so that T- has a little bit of buffer room between it and the next element. So after this empty text string, going to add another addition operator, and then you're going to grab the pick whip and bring it up to the countdown slider. So this is going to insert the effect slider control reference here, and then you're going to add a period operator and the word value, which is going to actually output the value of the slider. And after this, we're going to add another addition operator, followed by a text string with double quotations, and inside of the text string, you're going to put space, seconds, and this is going to end our expression. So if you click away from the expression field, you'll see that the countdown here has changed, and now we have 3 here and the word seconds. Now to make this look a little bit more official, I want to add some decimals here after the 3, so I'm just going to come back into the expression at the end of the value and type 2 fixed with a capital F, open parentheses, 2, close parentheses. And this is just going to add some decimal points after that 3, just to make it look a little nicer. So we have our expression, let's see if this works. And it's counting down, and it reaches 0 and then stops. Perfect. So this expression is taking the original source text and then adding a little empty text string here, and then bringing in the countdown slider, outputting the value, adding some decimals to it, and then adding another text string at the end that says seconds. Now because this is actually using the original source text, you can come back in here, double click, and you'll see this, doesn't really reflect the full length because the original text was only this long. But I know that this says T minus, so I can come to the very end and then add the word in. So now we have T minus in 3, and it retains everything because it's using the original source text. We've arrived at the end of lesson 305, linking and combining text strings. If you enjoy this expressions course, consider purchasing the paid content. It includes in-depth documentation, extra tutorial content, high-definition videos, and all the project files used in the training. Your purchase will help to create more free courses like this in the future.